Welcome back to Cottage Designs by Erin, where today we're going to be talking about how to make the 4-patch quilt behind me. This is one of my very first projects as a quilter. It was finished in 2002 when I was 32 years old, and I made this for my daughter because at that time one of her favorite colors was purple. So how this came about, her great-grandmother lived in the town where I was teaching at the time, and she met me one day after school and she said, "Honey, I brought you something." And she opened the trunk of her car, and I swear it was gingham as far as the eye could see. And I love gingham. Well, at that time, her great grandmother was no longer able to sew because she was having trouble with her hands and she was having trouble seeing, and she was already way up in age. And she said, "I want you to take this fabric home and make Taylor a quilt, and then I want to see it when you get done," which I made two that she got to see before she passed away. So this is one of them. This is a very simple beginner's project. You can use a rotary cutter if you want to, but you don't have to. Okay, I do everything the old-fashioned way with scissors. So you need a 2.5-inch square, and let me move the camera to my hands and bring the sewing machine up. Let's see here. This is 20 blocks across. So you make your 4-patch, and then you sash it with a solid, 4-patch solid, 4-patch solid, so on and so forth. Okay, let's see here what this says. This won second place in our local fair in 2002, and I do believe that this was a double bed quilt. Here's a picture of my daughter with this when she was a little girl. She's now 30 years old and has 3 kids. So here's the quilt, what it looked like when it was first made. And we had a wonderful quilter here in town named Mrs. Niekamp, and she quilted all those hearts in there for me. She passed away years ago, and I dearly miss her sewing abilities because she was wonderful. Okay, let me move the camera to my hands now. You are going to have 4 2.5-inch squares. Oh shoot, I didn't turn my power strip on. Okay, so you get your 2.5-inch squares, lay them pretty sides together, and sew down the edge. My sewing room is a wreck. I gotta clean this up. I'm talking quickly today because I have an appointment here in a couple hours, and I have an hour drive to get to it. Okay, so it will look like this. Now you want to sew the opposite direction. Okay, then you want to join them together, and this is what's called a 4-patch. You can do a kite method of sewing, which is where you just push a big bunch of 2-inch squares all through the machine one after another and kind of assembly line sew it. Okay, I've got a little crooked edge here, so I'm going to trim that up. Okay, so there's your 4-patch block. Then you're going to lay this down next to, I think it finishes 4 inches. 4.5 inches. You're going to lay this next to a 4.5-inch block and then join them, and it'll go 4-patch, 4.5, so on and so forth. Let me go back to the quilt. Okay, so here's this block. Then you're doing your 4.5-inch block and so on and so forth. And this is a great scrap buster. You could make it any color you want. In this case, I just used all gingham and white. This was beautiful on Taylor's bed when she was a little girl. Very, very pretty. So in a nutshell, you just need a big bunch of scraps. You will cut it all into 2.5-inch blocks, sew it into a 4-patch, and then add a solid next to it the same size as this finished block, which should be roughly 4.5 inches. Okay, and then you will alternate every other one going across, and then add your borders and make it as big as you want by adding the borders. So I appreciate everyone who's subscribed. Another girl, I'm not speaking clearly, a female named Heather donated $10 to my channel by clicking on the super chat below. She donated $10 to me. That was super nice. So if you would like, subscribe, and share my videos, and I will probably upload more either later today or I'll try to have a new idea for you tomorrow morning. So stop back by. Thank you.